Heather Meeker, Executive Director of Summit Artspace. We are delighted to welcome you to this virtual ceremony honoring the recipients of the 2024 Arts Alive Awards. Summit Artspace is a nonprofit organization that connects local artists to the resources they need to thrive, professionally, creatively, and financially. Located in Akron's historic arts district at 140 East Market Street, our historic 55,000 square foot Art Deco building, owned by Summit County, serves as a vital place for the public to engage with the local creative community, share ideas, and help local artists make Akron and our region a meaningful, unique place to live. We offer many ways to support and sustain local artists through studio and rehearsal space, galleries, and public events like the Akron Art Walk and Artists Sunday. For more information, we hope you'll visit summitartspace.org and visit us during our public hours on Fridays from 12 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 11 to 5 p.m. We believe that in a thriving arts ecosystem, artists require strong investment and that there are many paths to success. For nearly 25 years, the Arts Alive Awards have championed incredible local artists from many disciplines, as well as arts leaders and advocates from across our region. These outstanding visionaries, practicing artists, educators, volunteers, and donors, bring art to life, inspire us with their achievements, and are paving the way for a new generation of local artists. We're grateful for all the nominees and nominators who shared incredible stories of resilience, innovation, collaboration, and heart. We are grateful for our sponsors, including presenting sponsor Summit County and patron sponsor First Energy Corp, who have helped make this year's program possible. Finally, we are grateful for all you do to support and advocate for our local artists.
Hello, I'm Eileen Shapiro, your Summit County Executive. It's another exciting year for the arts and culture scene in Summit County, and I'm so proud to congratulate the dynamic artists and leaders that are making our community a vibrant place to live, work, and play. Congratulations to all the award winners and nominees. Your work makes a real difference, and as a lifelong supporter of the arts, I can say it truly brightens my day. And a special congratulations to my friends Gary and Georgia Miller for receiving the Arts Alive Award. I would be remiss if I didn't give a special shout out to a couple of other folks. To Woodrow Nash, Woodrow, you have created a tribute to Sojourner Truth that is truly second to none, and one that will be honored and cherished for many years to come. Congratulations on receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. And to Tawanda Mullins and the entire team who helped bring Sojourner Truth and her legacy back to life right here in Akron, Ohio, thank you. Again, to all of those supporting the arts, whether through philanthropic donations or through your time and talent, thank you for your commitment to bringing the arts to life in Summit County. Enjoy the evening.
My art style is African Nouveau. I wanted to draw from my experiences. And being a black artist in America, my heritage and everything came from the continent, from Africa. But the influence, concepts of beauty and everything like that, was European. I wanted to draw from those two influences. The work that I do is more stylized. The Sojourner piece is more realistic.
I'm excited about is that because we were able to work through the Akron Cultural Plan, we were able to coalesce our pretty extensive art offerings and talent at the university into what is now more organized arts culture for the university that we're extending into the community. It's very unusual from my perspective, and I think Georgia maybe would agree, to see a community that has really invested that way in thinking about what the arts can do and building a plan to fit things like the university into it.
I think the two things that we really need in the community to further help our artists right now is that continued funding, and also I would love to see more collaborative marketing that goes on within the community. I think that's important. The more that we can work together right now, the better toward the future. I also think it's important for people in Akron, as they're walking down the street, to also have access to artists. Artists are no different than, believe it or not, they are no different than any other of our great citizens here. And I think for people to have the opportunity to interact with our local artist is going to be a great asset for our entire arts community.
I want desperately to have art in my community so that I can enjoy it and learn from it. And I feel the same way about local artists as I feel about our faculty at the university. There's this need to continue to discover and create.
Art allows us to transcend the daily life. It brings us such great beauty. And I think we both have had a much fuller life because we do love the arts. Yeah. And I wish that for everyone, to have access to that.
To have a whole career as an educator, and that's such a meaningful career, and then to be able to transition into a career as an artist each day, I really feel like I had all the lottery tickets. I've been excited and humbled to lean into that as hard as I can. I don't consider myself a designer. That's not my training. I'm an artist, and I'm just going to retrofit what I do into these areas of need. So that's been really exciting and challenging because it's new to me, and it's very challenging to take someone else's need and vision and fulfill that without losing all of the energy of the artwork. Akron is a place in need of people that do things. And I can think through a number of businesses and people that I interact with on a daily or weekly basis that have made my life and the life of many other people here so much better because they did the thing. They took the chance, they invested the energy, they built the business, they, beyond logic, kept shoving the rock up the hill. And when you do that in a town like Akron, it makes an impact. I see that opportunity as meaningful, as worthwhile. That's true in many other places around the country. This happens to be the place that I live. And so since it is, I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity, but I'm going to really follow the path of the people that have done that have made my life better, the people I love and care about's lives better, and try to contribute to that community, that culture as well.
When I was in 8th grade, I wanted a weight bench and I wanted a guitar, and my parents said I had to choose one. And so I picked a guitar, and I think my life would have turned out a lot differently if I had gotten a weight bench. I make music, so I have no idea what else I would do if I didn't You know, I got to get it out somehow. And, you know, if people listen to it, I think it's great and it makes me so happy. And when people email me or send me a message on social media or whatever that they liked a certain song, it's great. It's a great feeling. I'm a firm believer that if you make things for the right reasons, which to me are like because you feel like you have to, people will find them and get what they need from them, even if you don't ever know about it. I think what you get in is what you get out of any creative endeavor. But that's you personally. I definitely think, I mean, Akron has a crazy musical history. And I do think part of that is that our weather stinks for so much of the year. There's nothing else to do but hunker down and like make stuff. The guitar is the thing that I've done more, I think, than anything else in my life. And that's partly because I love it. And also partly because I found it at the right time. And for somebody like myself who I didn't realize this until later on in life, but I have all kinds of anxiety issues and I have intrusive thoughts and all kinds that lots of people suffer from. And the guitar was the first thing that I realized early on in life where like, if I'm playing guitar, that stuff I don't have the bandwidth in my head for that stuff to bother me. And so not only was it like obviously a creatively fulfilling thing, but it was a thing that I realized I could disappear into it and not have to think. Because if both your hands are moving and you're thinking about things at the same time, you don't have time to think about all the stuff that you shouldn't be thinking about.
I think that it was out of necessity that I needed to find my footing here and rediscover what dance is in Northeast Ohio. I think a lot of people don't understand the richness of dance in Northeast Ohio, but it's important for those of us who remain working here, making work here, and actively trying to keep the art form alive to try to tie back to that and to use it as motivation going forward. There are times where I just feel like if I wasn't doing this, I really don't know what I would be doing. And I hate to say that because that sounds completely cliche. But I think I have to do it. It's a sense of urgency that I need to be making. I have to get what is within me out and sort of process that through the physicality that is dance. And also through all the lenses that we put our movement through as choreographers and stuff like that. I think that it definitely keeps me wanting to push myself further because I'm constantly going to see what everyone else is making. And I think that that's important. I think that sometimes if we get too isolated within our own process, we're not staying connected to what is happening around us, what's happening within our community, especially a dance community. So I think that it's important for us to show up, to support one another, to immerse ourselves in each other's work, because then we're starting to build those types of sort of like cultural movements, I think. And that's the type of stuff that, we read about in history books, right? When we talk about dance history and dance movements, this is what's happening right now. And if we don't engage with one another, we're not going to be able to share in that richness.
When I got here, I remember people telling me this isn't California. This is Akron. And it was said a lot because I had just come from LA. And I didn't know what that meant for a long time. But I think I've come to understand it. Like Akron is unusual. Somebody else earlier was saying about the weather not being very good. So people do things. They do things to entertain each other. They tell stories. They get together and play cards. They do things where they're interacting with each other. And I think for Akron, theater it's just really important. There's more theaters here than there are in a lot of places. That's why I think it's so vital and so important to everyone. And they're all sitting there telling each other their stories, and then their friends come and support them. And to me, that creates the most important thing of all. It creates community. And by telling those stories and sharing those stories and radiating out that importance to everyone, it just creates this community that is so strong. Where I am at is that in whatever level of my career, if I'm a producer or running a foundation or fundraising, that I'm always trying to make it possible for other people to tell those stories in the theater. And that's my artistry, is raising the money, making it happen, making it possible. Every single play that I've ever done, I absolutely love, and I want to do it again. I might not, but I want to do it again because that experience just taught me so much about myself.
In the early days, after I got my MFA, I thought, how do I fit in? How do I find a niche in this larger community? So I started a poetry reading series at a cafe that no longer exists. And so for 3 years, I would look up who were some local poets. Poets in the Northeast Ohio area or even as far as Pittsburgh, and invite them to read. And so I got to know the poets by starting my own poetry reading. The support is so enormous. There are so many literary communities in this area, and workshops, lit festivals, and you just, and publications, and you just have to put yourself out there. The connections happen. It's a very receptive community. So I encourage anyone who's really thinking, oh gosh, I'd like to dabble in poetry or find out what that's about. There are many, many, many resources, and Akron is one of those places where there's much happening. The best poetry is very accessible. And the best poetry is universal, even if it's about a particular experience, a narrative that is particular to the writer. I would like people to understand that it is accessible and that there are so many kinds of poetry. There are many, many ways to express an idea. I can write a haiku, or I could write a 4-page poem, and the message, the intention might be the same, but the delivery is different. One of the greatest joys in writing has been collaborating with visual artists. And I hope to collaborate with theater artists too in the future. We really need to work together, collaboratively, because we have a similar vision often, different ways of expressing that vision, but they can really blend in a beautiful way through that kind of collaboration across, sort of jumping across the genres.
From the beginning, they asked the question, we're coming to Akron. What is Akron's story, and what is the story with them all in it? And so, of course, we naturally gravitated towards the North Hill history and stories. So we wanted to play on the idea of using that physical infrastructure, which has so much potential and sort of its vastness, to create imagery that represented the community's story.
Collaboration is huge for us. And of course, North Hill is Akron's international district. So when you have a huge opportunity to have this type of representation, it's important that members within our neighborhood find their identity. And these type of events are collaborative by nature, but also help people to find their way, find their identity, and feel a new source of home. So it's important that we build those connections. It's important that we have arts at the foundation of those experiences, because we need to make sure that our residents are finding their connections.
We had been planning for months, and I personally had been stressing about it and didn't know how many people would come. And then there was just this large gathering around the intersection of North Main and East Talmadge Avenue. And once she came out, it's everyone was just magnetized to her, and it was so special.
I will never forget traversing those 4-5 blocks with the tarp, with the performers and coming together. There was such community and camaraderie from completing a task together. And if that isn't the definition of collaboration, I don't know what is.
The residents found their space. They found joy, and they found the opportunity to naturally intersect with people that they don't on their day-to-day. That's what neighborhoods are about. That's what connection is about, and that's what was just beautiful to watch.
We focus on uplifting young emerging artists to give them a platform to grow their careers with support from us, and also putting them in contact with people in the community that we think would really help to have their careers excel. As an artist, you know what an artist needs. You're in the shoes. You are able to have those conversations, whether they're hard or whatever, and it makes everything just more symbiotic. It just makes for a better experience all around for us and for the people coming in. It just makes the most sense. And it is like accessible to be like an artist in this area as well. It really, really is. So it's nice to be able to know that you can thrive and survive. And if you need help with anything, you have that support system.
I think both of us, when we first started Kink, were craving just being in the arts again. And I think both of us were really missing the community aspect of it. So for us, it was about creating a space that was run by artists, for artists. It was an inclusive space for young artists to feel like they could be seen. They had the opportunity for not only showing their work professionally, but also in a mentorship capacity to have people they could see themselves in to kind of guide them through that beginning stage of their career. We do not believe in censoring art.
No.
And so for us, it doesn't matter if the entire exhibition, there's not a single thing for sale. That may sound crazy, but for us, it's like, that's not our motivation, and that shouldn't be your motivation in creating this work. It should be the impact that your art is making. And so I think that's always been something that we want artists to know and make very clear, that we're not just trying to pump out visually accessible work for people to make money. It's always great, obviously, to profit off of your work. It's always great to be able to have that money to put into the next project. But it's the impact that matters to us.
The work that I choose to do revolves around painting the Japanese American experience through figurative painting. Being in Northeast Ohio, I think it's important to bring up these topics and to be authentic with my artistic practice and with myself, and create the works that I want to see out in the world to hopefully inspire other artists to paint their stories regardless of their background. It just feels great to be surrounded by the arts. I'm really passionate about all arts, and so getting to work with people who also care about the same thing is really exciting to me. My work trajectory is to bring better representation to not only Japanese Americans, but Asian Americans and people of color. If you look at our galleries and institutions, it's been getting better, but when I was in school, there wasn't representation of Asian Americans. And so I hope to add to the canon, and this is why I choose the work that I do, because it's personal, but it's also beneficial to our society when we can have ourselves reflected, all people reflected within the arts. All the support from my contemporary artists and feeling that love and support from them and encouraging them as well to continue. We're here to not just compete with each other, but to really have each other's backs and support one another. I love to see more opportunities in the Akron area, have more venues and more chances to show work for emerging artists like myself. I think that'd be really great to see. Not everyone has a background or has a degree as an emerging artist. So just giving people the chance, I think, is the most important part at the end of the day. It can be a big struggle to show your work and have people care about it, and letting people speak their truths and showing their work is so crucial to any artistic career, especially for emerging artists.
In my experience, the best art is when you bring people along from the beginning. A group think tank is so much better than what Neil Sedakran can conceptualize. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think my ideas are the best ideas in the world always, but there's always times when I'm just like, wow, yes, do it like that. Or let's do something a little bit differently. Or who do you see in your character? And what does this mean? And a lot of the times, not being a dictator, but being a round table, if you will, helps to elevate the art as a whole with a more collaborative process. My best advice to people, no matter what art that they're doing, is scrape your knees. Just go out and do it. Go out and film it. Go out and paint. Go out and draw. Go out and write. Honestly, you'll develop most as an artist when you don't have all the pieces in place, when you have to make critical decisions about, okay, this didn't turn out here. So what am I going to do to elevate this? And you also learn to meet more people, because there are people who have skills that you don't, that you can flush together. I feel that what I bring that is different is an emotionality, is an empathy, not just to the art, but to the people involved in the art. And this is less about what the audience thinks. It's always my mantra and always my goal that if somebody doesn't have a good time, or if somebody comes away hurt, or if somebody comes away saddened, I didn't do my job. I don't care how elevated the art is and if it is the best thing in the world. The ends does not justify the means, right? And it never does, and it never will. You have to always be kind, and you have to always be wanting to make an impact while you're making something. The impact is not the finished product. The impact is the whole journey, if you will.
When I think about local artists and I think about sort of their evolution in life, and I find people who can create and speak and sing and act and write what they're feeling, what life really is about, I think it brings us all together in a way that social media and television and cable TV, all those things, they tend to negate us, and art justifies us in the world. One of the things that's most important for organizations, for corporations, and for individuals to understand is the role that arts plays in the community and in that placemaking. And people who come to Akron and get to experience, a livelihood that they love and have a quality of life where the arts are really a part of it, they stay. They want to stay. You fall in love with your job, hopefully, but you fall in love with your community as well. And so I think it builds upon itself. So anybody that can support the arts is supporting so many other initiatives and that's, I think, the most important thing that I want people to know. You look up the definition of philanthropy, and it's the love of humankind. There's no other definition. That is the definition. It's the first one in the dictionary. And when you think about that, the simplicity of that, and the way that art enhances that, it makes you want to raise those dollars that are needed. We talk about nonprofits that need dollars. We talk about artists who need to make a living, and a quality of life living, a living where they can raise a family. Philanthropy can play a big part in that. It gives me joy, but it gives back. And anytime you're giving back to the community, you get back tenfold what you give. So, and that has been a real joy for me.
I've always thought that my job as a theater teacher was to share with students my excitement about the process, and that I love making theater, and I can't think that I would ever be any good at doing anything else. And so creating theater in the school setting with students who are talented and excited about theater has been my dream job. And that's the kind of thing that I want to share with my students. It's just this love and respect and excitement about the creative process. I'm constantly rejuvenated with student ideas and creativity and their approach to things. And when they ask me, what am I thinking about this? And what is my thought process about this show? And how do we solve this problem? And these are the kinds of discussions that I really enjoy having with students. The skills that theater education is teaching are life skills. It's not just artistic skills or, self-awareness and that. There are life skills that everybody takes and applies in the workplace. But then we take that, what we talk about in the classroom then, and apply it in the rehearsal room, and that's where the magic really happens. Can you see kids using the things that we talked about in the show? And those are good times. So I think that that's part of the reason why I'm picking shows that I want to do, because it keeps me interested and energized. And if I was doing the same shows, I don't know that I would have that I wouldn't be able to bring that energy and insight and excitement to my students, which is what I really want to do.
I really believe that the arts should be for everyone. That's kind of the guiding mantra of all of my work. The arts should be for everyone. Everybody should have an opportunity to enjoy the arts, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. And so any way that we can incorporate that into our work is meaningful. I want to be the advocate for artists. I want artists to feel welcome and valued here. And if I can help make Summit County just, even if it's a little bit more of a place where artists want to live and stay, just being able to make creative people feel supported, that's the reason I do what I do. There's people who just get it. I think that there's really a spirit of wanting to work together and just wanting to stay here and make it better and wanting to work towards this greater good. And I think that's really special, that you can come into the arts community here and say, I have this idea, I have this passion, and there's going to be people here who want to back that and support that because they know it's going to make our community better. It doesn't feel competitive. It doesn't feel cliquey. It just feels like, we have people here who really care and really want to put the work in. I think what really drew me to this area initially is that it's a welcoming place, and there's always an opportunity to get involved and learn things that maybe you didn't think that you were good at, maybe you didn't ever see yourself doing, because it's a city but feels like a small town. That's what I've heard people say, and that's really true. My passion is to support the artists and to help artists as much as I can. So if that's the mark that I can leave, where there's somebody who decides, you know what, I want to stay here in Summit County, and this is a good place to be as an artist, then I'll feel like I've made my mark.
To learn more about every Arts Alive Award recipient, visit summitartspace.org. There, you can view their online profiles and access links to their websites and social media platforms. We hope you'll also explore the Akron Summit Cultural Plan at akronculturalplan.com. It offers 10 distinct priorities to fundamentally strengthen arts and culture in our region. The artists, educators, and advocates featured here, in fact, all of this year's nominees and the many artists creating in our community, consistently work across sectors to make Akron, Summit County, and Northeast Ohio an incredible arts landscape. Thank you once again for joining us to celebrate these incredible honorees.